welcome back. I just put the axle back up, and the bolts aren't tight for the leaf spring hangers right now. But I'm gonna put the truck on its own weight first to tighten all these bolts on first. And I did end up using the extended shackles because I put it up and then I soon realized the angle was going to be too flat. And then I tried putting so I had a 2-inch leaf spacer thing in there, and it came with this wedge that goes on top of the axle under the springs. It basically just wedges the axle up, but it's got this big hole here, and the pin on the leaf springs doesn't go all the way down to reach the pins on the axle. So I'll have to figure something out with that. I am gonna put the tires on those wheels. Those wheels up front. I put the tires up front already, but I'm gonna mount them on the rear, and then put them up on the truck. See how high it sits today. To do that, the wheels I got for it are for a Ford F-250, so they have a 8x170 lug pattern, and the GM axle in the rear has an 8x6.5. So I got this adapter plate. I think it's 3 inches in width. Okay, so this is just a tad bit under 3 inches in spacing, pretty much. And what it's gonna do is I'm gonna bolt this up to the 6.5 lug pattern, and then the mating surface is 8x170. This is supposed to be a lug-centric, or not a lug-centric, but a hub-centric spacer. But the hub on the wheels I got is bigger than this, and the hub on my truck, the GM axle, is smaller than this bore. So I'm gonna have to make some adapter rings to go in here to try to space that out. But on here you can see, well, these wheels don't even bolt up to the Ford axle as well. So I think a lot of 2500 or 8 lug wheels I've seen always have the hub part bigger for some reason. I think it could be because it came with these hub cap things, so it could be because of that. Not sure. Anywho, yeah. So I got these spacers, and the thing you guys want to watch out for when you're getting spacers on GM trucks is these are the lug nuts for the GM 2500 trucks. I don't know if all of them have them, but when you put them in a spacer like that, you can see there's no hole, or well, there is a hole there, but if I won't even get an impact wrench because I already know the impact wrench doesn't fit, but there's a socket for it. You can see it's too big, so what you're gonna have to do is buy special lug nuts. And if you guys have time, I'd recommend just ordering these because it just makes things easier or cheaper. I wanted them today, so I just went over to AutoZone and O'Reilly and I grabbed 4 of these. Cost a lot, but these are basically the same size as what the spacer came with. So they go in there and they take a 19, and I can even take my 3/4 impact, and it fits in there snug, just like that. And if I want more room, I can even take my just non-impact sockets and use that. Anyway, yeah, but that's what you're gonna need to get spacers on GM trucks. And the other thing is their lug nut thread pattern is a bit different than like every other one. So you can't just grab one off like a Ford or something and then fit it on a GM. It's weird. Anyway, these lug nuts happen to be the exact same size as the ones on the truck on the axle. So 14 by 1.5. That's the one that'll go bolt into the factory axle. The one I had spacers before, and I didn't know this at the time, but I had them with basically a Ford thread pitch, and it basically just fucked up the threads because I used an impact on it. Yeah. So I didn't know that these were the same until I looked at them today. Until I just got here and looked at them. I already bought all these four. So I could just use these four to go in there, bolt it up to the axle, and then use the OEM lug nuts to bolt the wheel up. But then I got to thinking I already have the front wheel mounted on these lug nuts, so it'd be kind of just weird looking. So I'm just gonna keep these, bolt them up, and then I'm also too lazy to go return it anyway. So yep, just gonna bolt up these spacers onto there right now, and then we're gonna go and change those tires. I got the tires mounted, spacers are in as well, and it's just enough poke. It's slightly wider than the front, I would say, not by much. It just looks the same. The reason why I got 3 inches because the factory GM rear axles, at least on the 2500s, I think they're a lot narrower than the front, and then the Ford, the Dana 60 axle is a lot wider than GM stuff. So I got that 3 inch, and then the wheels give a bit more poke as well, so that's given, I don't know, it actually looks about the same. I'm not sure, but we're gonna have to measure the height, because it's the height front and rear looks pretty close, so I'm not sure if I need to do anything with blocks or stuff. So it's about, from tire to fender, it's about 1 foot in the rear, and then up front, oh yeah, it's slightly higher up front, not by much. I think I'll probably just get 1 inch blocks in the rear, just to try to get that pinion angle a little better. Actually, once this truck started lifting up, it's not that bad, the pinion angle. So honestly, I would drive on this for a while. There's still a lot more stuff I'd have to do to it, but over here, oh boy, on this side it's 13 inches. So it's slightly higher. I mean, it's higher by 1 inch on this side, and it's 1 foot lower on here. Given, I mean, the pavement gravel thing, not very even at all, but I'm hoping it'll level out once I get it on, once I roll it back and forth a little bit. But yeah, I snugged up the bolts, but I do have to tighten it now. I'm gonna tighten all the bolts in the rear, along with the leaf mount stuff as well, so that I can roll back and forth, see how it drives. All right, so it's been a few days. I got the e-brake hooked back up. I just put it in the factory location, because it wouldn't fit anywhere else. Kind of, well, I have the e-brake on right now, but it is touching this slightly, but when the e-brake's off, it's not touching. And I think I do have enough clearance back here for flexing and stuff, so we're good here. If it ever rips, it is just the e-brake, so yeah, not really too worried about it. And it's been a few days, and I've been back and forth driving around. the neighborhood. So those welds, I basically just welded the bracket back to the old spring mount thing, half of it or part of it, and then I bolted it back in to here, and that's basically just holding this whole thing back in. And then I got it over the leaf spring again. So there you go. And then I also have I've also got temporary brake lines hooked up just so I can safely test drive it and move on to testing other things, while the stuff I've ordered for the brake lines is gonna be longer. So I have the GM, the old basically the factory for this truck brake line hooked back up to the Ford caliper, and it's not leaking there. And basically I took the bracket that came with this, I extended this clamp thing so that it would slide all the way to the front of it, and then I bolted it back into the location on it, that factory spot where they were holding the brake line before on the Ford axles, on the Dana 60 pretty much. And I basically just bolted it in, just put one bolt right there, and that's holding this in. And now I'm able to steer this all the way left and right without dangling this up. And then basically the custom line that I'm going to make is gonna go from here back up to this steel line over here. But right now I just have this random piece of hose from some random car up here. Same with the shocks, just to test it out. I'm gonna get longer shocks, don't worry, but right now I just have some random, I'm pretty sure this is off like a car, but I kind of just have it hooked up right now just because I was not flexing, but I was testing how well it was gonna drive on the road, and to see if there was like some wobbling and stuff, and I wanted to see if it was because of the shocks. So I added some shocks, and it did fix those issues. So yeah, all that is just so I can keep going and test other things out while I wait for parts to get here. But yeah, I'm gonna remake this bar. I don't know if I ever explained it, but I basically seized the inside thread of this, and I can't take either, I think it's this side, I can't remove it at all. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna end this video here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next video.